Well, hello everyone, it's me, and I'm back. I'm doing an Ask the Drinker stream. It just occurred to me actually, I've not done one of these for like months. I don't know why. It's probably because, with doing open bar now every week, there's less time for doing stuff like this, but I always enjoy it. Like it's nice to just open up the floor to people and just like let them ask me questions, really. And it's nice to be able to make the time, and I just happened to have some this evening, so I thought, what the hell, I'm gonna throw open the gates and just see what people have got to ask me. So here I am, the drinker, solo. Hopefully I can keep you amused a little bit. You've got my undivided attention for the next hour or two, so I will see what I can do for you. But yeah, I guess we're just post Oscars now. Looking at the results of them, I'm not entirely unhappy with how it went. Everything everywhere all at once pretty much cleaned up in terms of like best actress, best supporting actor, best movie. And I think it deserved it. It was a great film, and it's good to see it do so well. I was just looking at the list of like all the things that it cleared up on. It was like best supporting actress for Jamie Lee Curtis, best actress for Michelle Yeoh. I think that was pretty well deserved. Best director for Daniel Kwan, best original screenplay, best film editing. Damn, best picture. Um, yeah, even best supporting actor for Kei Kwan, which short round from Temple of Doom. So it's great to see him. Like he does basically nothing for like 30 years and then comes back and wins an Oscar. Like damn, man, well done. Very well deserved. But yeah, I mean it did extremely well. So like well done to them for that. It's good to see that movie getting recognition. And Brendan Fraser winning Best Actor like for his work on The Whale. Again, that dude is having the year of his life. Like, if you want to talk about comebacks, damn, like he is nailing it. And it's great to see. Again, like he just seems like, I don't know him, but damn, he just seems like a nice guy. And it's good to see that he's back. He's getting recognition. He's taking on challenging roles like this, and really just getting the praise that I think he deserves as an actor. Obviously he's done a lot of like action movies and stuff in his career, and maybe that overshadows the fact that he's actually pretty good at what he does. And I just watched The Whale today, and I can say like he deserved that Oscar. I think his performance was fantastic. He put his heart and soul into that, and can't really fault him on it. So it's good stuff, but no, not everyone's happy about it. Apparently, you know, social media being what it is, there's always got to be some dickhead who's mad about something, and of course, in this case, it's the fact that they didn't cast an actual 600-pound actor to play this role. Instead, they put Brendan Fraser in a fat suit, and I think it was pretty convincing. The bits that I saw, like the prosthetics were so good, the makeup was so good, I couldn't tell really. Like if I didn't know he was, he was who he was, I would have thought like he was that size. But yeah, they're mad because they're doing massively terminally obese people out of roles in Hollywood. And my response to that was, yeah, but you need an actor who can actually make it through the filming. They have to be able to make it to the end. And if you've got someone who's that big, they're probably not going to be able to stand the physical strain of making a film. Having to work for like 12 hours a day. They're just not going to be able to do that. So, yeah, also the fact that you shouldn't really be encouraging people to get to that size, like that's not a good thing. But yeah, I mean, there's just always going to be someone with a horrendously bad take. So yeah, it's nice to see that it happens yet again. Can't just let the guy have his moment and enjoy his win. It's like got to be someone who tries to spoil it. But yeah. This from Grandma Twerking. Dove Soap of all people, I say people, like of all companies, just had to step in on this one and be like, yeah, we need more fat representation in Hollywood. Like one, no, you don't, and two, the replies to that were just absolute gold. It's like, well, fat people have a larger body area that needs to be washed, so it means more soap that needs to be used on them. Is that what you want, Dove? Is that what is that what you really want? So yeah, they got ratioed into oblivion, and rightly so. They very much deserved it. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts. I guess my very like simplistic thoughts so far on the Oscars. I guess I can respond to questions about it as we go. But overall, I'm pleased with the results. I think most of the people who got their Oscars deserved them, and so that was nice to see. I don't think it was a particularly highly rated Oscars in terms of viewing because nobody was fighting each other. It didn't have the Will Smith controversy this time around, so yeah, it's gonna have to go some to get out of that stigma of the Oscars that they've been in recent years. I think, you know, looking at like the acceptance speeches and generally the vibe of it, it felt a bit less political than previous years. So maybe that's something. Maybe they're learning a little bit from previous experience. Again, it's got a long way to go, but yeah, it's the third lowest in terms of viewing figures. So it's up slightly on last year. So that's something, you know. But yeah, the ratings are still in the gutter, and it's got a long way to go if they want to claw it back, you know. Um, yeah, I'm just looking at the chat here. Yeah, Brendan Fraser deserved this. A very satisfying win. Yeah, and I think he's one of those actors who's genuinely grateful for it as well. As we all know, he's been through the mill over the years. Got blacklisted in Hollywood, and essentially had his career cut short. Obviously, suffered a lot of health problems because of all the stunt work that he'd done in his movies throughout the years, and all that stuff. Just man, it must have piled in on him. He's had a tough gig over the past decade or so, but it's really nice to see him coming back. Um, oh, here's a good question. Light Inferno says, Drinker, explain how The Last of Us Episode 3 wasn't woke trash. So, okay, I will do my best, right? So this is the episode about Bill and his partner. It's a flashback episode. As I said in my review of the overall series, I think because it's a relatively short series and some episodes feel kind of rushed, in retrospect, I might not have included that episode as a flashback episode. I definitely would have dropped episode 7 because that's another flashback episode that just does nothing. They do eat up a lot of time, but taking it as it's as what it is, just on its own merits. I liked it because it felt like a genuinely good piece of writing. It was an interesting development of this relationship between these two characters. Essentially representing the last gasp of traditional humanity and civilized society. These two guys still sitting down to a nice cooked dinner each evening, drinking wine, just like maintaining or at least holding on to some of those remnants of civilization that were rapidly vanishing in the rest of the world. And ultimately caring deeply about each other, and as the time sort of skips forward, you find one of them gets ill, ultimately making that decision to end their lives together. I thought it was a nice story. I thought it was well done. I thought it was really well acted. I liked the characters in it, and it didn't feel intrusive, and it didn't feel insistent. It didn't feel preachy. It's not like they were sitting there at dinner saying, "Wow, the apocalypse was the best thing to ever happen to us because we got so much discrimination in daily life for being gay," or something like that, trying to work modern day politics into it. There was none of that. It was just two main characters who happened to be gay, and I think their relationship worked really well. Like, I thought it was well written, and yeah, I think me well enough by now. Like, if I felt like the show with that episode was just trying to preach at us or trying to crowbar stuff in that wasn't appropriate for the setting or whatever, I would have called it out, but yeah, I felt it was fine. I had more of an issue, like I say, with episode 7, which just, I know that's in the DLC. I know this stuff happened between Ellie and Riley, but at that point in the story and the fact that we'd already had an entire flashback episode, I wouldn't have done a second one. So for me, that the benchmark of whether something is woke is whether it crosses the line from just a well-developed story to just trying to hit you with a message that takes you out of the story, that ruins your suspension of disbelief, and it didn't ruin it for me. So that would be my take on it, I suppose. I'm probably not making a huge amount of sense here because I'm just doing this off the cuff, but it's the best description I can give you right now. What was the next question? What was this in? Oh, yeah. You think Triple R is a movie which can get par Hollywood? I don't know if that meant to be past Hollywood, but yeah, I think Triple R was a great movie. You know, it was just really fun, really exuberant, really vibrant. It felt like it had a ton of heart to it, and yeah, it didn't really feel like it was trying to push too much of a message on anyone. It was just really heroic characters doing really heroic, over the top, amazing things. You know, again with Indian movies, you kind of have to take them in a different way than you would with a Hollywood film. Like, there's not really any pretense of being realistic or being grounded in reality. It's hyper realism. You know, it's everything's enhanced to the point of being almost cartoonish, but it works in that context. Once you go into it with that mindset, I think it's a really enjoyable film. Like, I think the performances were fantastic. The development of the relationship between these two friends and the way it gets tested, and everything's constantly like flipped on its head because of the conflicting loyalties and the conflicting situations they find themselves in. I think it all works really well, so I liked it. And I'm also very conscious that there's a bunch of super chats been coming in as I've been doing this, so I should answer a few of these as I go. So give me 1 second here, just as I bring them up. Okay, so the first one here was from Mr. Luca. It says, Gary is coming to the UK. Do a meetup in Scotland. Well, plans are underway. I know he's going to be in Birmingham, I think, for a MegaCon, I think it is. So it's a Comic-Con down there, and hopefully I can go and see him. It would be really good. Kevin O'Neill says, what is your process for selecting the clips in your more poignant videos, which I affectionately call the Drinkers Thinkers? Cheers, mate. I don't know. Like, I guess, yeah, if it's just general, like, commentary I'm making on movies or whatever, I'll just try and select, like, I don't know, classic movies or well-known, like, either Oscar winners or just movies that are well regarded. And, you know, just try and go with that. Like, there's not unless it's a specific theme or whatever, like, you know, maybe it's going to be about like classic movies getting rewritten or something like that. I might pick stuff like Gone with the Wind, or like things from that era which are more likely to get edited and censored and stuff. But otherwise, yeah, just movies that I guess have got a bit of recognition and kind of remind people of, like, hey, we used to be quite good at doing this stuff. We used to be quite good at this whole movie making thing, and I'd like to get back to that. So Gator159 says, will you purchase the rights for Metal Gear from Konami and make it canon that Anya is the boss's daughter? Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater and Ryan... Oh, right, Ryan Drake books. I was like, Anya? Who's that? Yeah. It's interesting you say that, actually, because I was never really aware of this at the time, but like when I look back on it, there's definitely a kind of influence of the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3 on Anya from my books. Probably in her physical likeness. Because I think they're both like older characters, like they're both in their 40s, I think. You know, they both got like, they're both tall and statuesque and stuff. So I think there's an element of that in there. So yeah, maybe there's the kind of subconscious influence there, but yeah, that would be a great bit of canon right there. The only thing is the boss is American and Anya is from Lithuania, so it's a bit of a switch. I'm not sure how we'd figure that one out. Max Bolton says, "Hello, drinker. What would you say are your most anticipated movies of this year? Maybe Spooderverse or the Marvels?" I'm very excited for the Marvels, man. Can't wait. Yeah, I've been seeing these interesting like bits of reporting from behind the scenes about. Well, here we go. There's actually one from what is it, Comic Book Movie, saying the Marvels delay is rumored to be down to behind the scenes drama with Brie Larson. So yeah, apparently yeah, shortly after the delay was announced, because it's been put back to November, reports indicated that the movie was pushed back to allow more time for post-production. And while that may be the case, Jeff Snyder has heard that it's not the main reason. On tonight's episode of The Hot Mic, Snyder said that he'd heard star Brie Larson had not been the easiest to work with. The word nightmare was used and had clashed with co-star Toyona Paris. We're not exactly sure how or why this could impact the film's post-production process, but Snyder suggested there had been some diva-like behavior behind the scenes. Yeah, obviously can't comment to whether or not that's true. I've not been part of the film or anything, but I think it's more likely that they know they've got a gigantic turd on their hands. This process of trying to bring together like three heroes that have never really spent any time with each other and craft a story around that with a not particularly good director and a bunch of failed writers who've done like things like Loki and stuff. Not a winning combination, and I think they've probably seen the rough cut of this film and realized, oh my god, this is absolutely terrible. We need to try and salvage this somehow. And here we are, you know, it's reshoots, it's re-edits, it's desperate like short-term fixes to try and sort this thing. I don't think you can really. I think bearing in mind, you know, who's in it and the characters that are in it, I just don't see how this can work. um, but yeah, in terms of like movies that I'm excited for, it's not a huge amount. Like, is Dune 2 coming out this year? If so, yay, I guess. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will probably be good. Like, I've got enough belief in James Gunn, I suppose, that I don't think he's going to screw it up, so that'll probably be decent. Um, yeah. There's another question here. Do you still hate Creed? I mean, I don't hate Creed. Like, I gave the most recent movie a sort of, you know, cautious thumbs up, I suppose. Like, yeah, overall it was a decent enough movie. There's a few issues with it, but not too bad. I think my overall issue with the Creed franchise is that it just kind of feels like it's riding the coattails of Rocky. It's essentially telling the same story over again. Like, Creed was just Rocky 1, but like Creed just wasn't a particularly well developed character. Creed 2 was basically Rocky 3. You know, he takes a beating from an opponent that he didn't expect. You know, he's kind of overconfident and stuff, and he gets absolutely knocked down, and he loses all of his confidence, and has to claw that back, and he has to rediscover the eye of the tiger so that he can go back in it again and win. So that was basically just aping the plot line for Rocky 3, and Creed 3 really just copies the storyline for Rocky 5. You know, he retires, he takes on a protege, that guy turns against him, and he has to come out, fight him one last time to prove that he's still the champ. You know, there's nothing wrong with taking like inspiration from those movies, but it just feels like it's we're seeing the same story told again. You know, so it doesn't really get me inspired when I feel like I'm just seeing a rehash of the same ideas. It's unfortunate. Magnus TNT says, thoughts on Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul? Well, Breaking Bad was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've said that before. There's not much I can say that people haven't already said about Breaking Bad. It's an incredible story. Walter White is one of the best, like, anti-heroes of all time. Like, the fallen hero who becomes a villain, essentially. Brilliantly developed, perfectly acted, great stuff. Never quite got into Better Call Saul, and, you know, shoot me for that, but it was a show that just didn't grab me in the same way that Breaking Bad did, and I know that it's meant to get really good after like the first season, but yeah, just didn't quite get me the same way that Breaking Bad did. So I don't know, man. Like, it's meant to be amazing by the end. Um, okay, yeah. I've heard this before. Yeah, Better Call Saul might be better than Breaking Bad, but it's a slow burn. Yeah, maybe that's it. Straight away, like I empathized with Walter. And within the first episode, like this guy downtrodden, like he's got a disabled son, people don't respect him and stuff, but he's capable of so much more. And so yeah, maybe like Better Call Saul didn't get me in the same way. um yeah, people are asking me here. Yeah, I just mentioned this before. Have you watched The Whale with Brendan Fraser? Yes, just today actually. So looking forward to reviewing that. But yeah, I can see why he won the Best Actor Oscar. I thought he put his heart and soul into it. It was a great performance. The makeup, the prosthetics were all flawless, and yeah, it's he's a compelling character in that story. You pity him, you're kind of horrified by him, and he's just a tragic character, I guess. Yeah, it's well done. I liked it. What's this? Do a review of The Lighthouse. Okay, I have already. go go look back through my channel. I've done a review of The Lighthouse, and it's there. So yeah, I very much enjoyed that movie as well. Very different, very unusual, kind of art housey. It's all quite surreal, and it's very open to interpretation. It's not your traditional movie by any stretch. There's not really a plot to break down as such, but it's a movie sold on the incredible visuals, the surrealism, the performances of Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson as well. He did great. So yeah, it's a very interesting experience watching The Lighthouse, but I liked it. Um, what was the next one? Yeah, someone mentioned All Quiet on the Western Front as well. So that won Best International Movie, which again I'm very happy with. I thought it was a fantastic film. I thought it really did justice to the source material, and yeah, I really liked it. I thought that all the actors did a great job. It didn't seem like it was done on a huge budget, but I think they absolutely made the most of it. For those battle scenes, brilliant stuff. Spencer Stabio says, "Hello, drinker. Have any happy hours planned for the future?" Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know, um, doing open bar each week. Obviously, that takes up a fair bit of my time now, and I've also got things like this. Ask the drinker and occasional VIP lounges. But yeah, I'm not going to forget about the happy hours, and I will do more. Mauler and I just did one the other day, and it wasn't a happy hour technically. It was like we watched Wrath of Khan, start to finish, and did like an audio commentary for it. So that's the first thing of its kind that we've done before, and it was really fun. It was great that I finally got Mauler to watch a Star Trek movie, so I feel good about that. Because he insisted on watching the motion picture before he watched Wrath of Khan, and I said, I don't know if you want that to be your introduction to Star Trek, man. It's hard going, even for me as a Trekkie. Like that's a tricky movie. But he watched that, and like even then, his overall take was like, yeah, it wasn't too bad. It could have done the character stuff better, but like it was good sci-fi, and I thought, oh, okay, great. Like you're gonna have a field day with Wrath of Khan then, and he did. So it was great fun to do that with him. Um, so yeah, I mean, we'll see where we go from there. We'll see what the reception is like, but it seems like people have enjoyed it so far. We might do like Star Trek 3, or maybe we'll take it turnabout. Like he'll suggest a movie to me, and we'll watch that together. It worked well because I was a big Trek fan. He was coming into it brand new, and so you get different perspectives, I suppose. Here's a good one. Boobs or ass. I'm a boob man, so yeah, what can I say? I did a poll on this once on Twitter, and I thought it would be like overwhelmingly in favor of boobs, but it was close. It was like 48 to 52. So damn, yeah, there's a lot of ass men out there. What can I say? What's the next one? um, oh yeah, will I try Elden Ring? Yeah, I have tried it, and it's really hard. I'm glad I didn't stream myself playing it because it would be a frustrating one to watch streaming. You know, there's a lot of dying involved in it. Um, yeah, I got as far as I think Renala, the boss that you fight there. Um, that was a tricky one, but you know it wasn't as hard as some of the others before that. But yeah, I guess I got that far, and then I kind of switched over to some other games and haven't really gone back to Elden Ring. And I do feel bad, but damn, that's a challenging game, you know. And I'm not that amazing of a gamer that I can just breeze through stuff like that. So maybe it's not quite for me, but I don't have any ill feelings towards it. Like some people get really pissed off about it, like, oh, it's too fucking hard. I hate it. No, like I respect like it's a challenging game. It's meant to present a bit of a challenge for you, and if you can get through to the end of it, well, you've done pretty well. Maybe it's just not quite for me, but yeah, hopefully one day I'll go back to it and see if I can complete it. Who knows? I actually just finished the Dead Space remake, and that was really good. So I'll hopefully do a review of that one. But I streamed a little bit of that as well. I didn't want to stream the whole thing because there's particularly towards the end there was aspects of the story I just wanted to be able to enjoy, you know. And when you're doing it live and you're streaming it, you kind of feel like you have to be entertaining people constantly. You know, you've got to be cracking jokes and stuff, and then you can't really appreciate the story on its own merits. And so, yeah, I just wanted to appreciate it. But yeah, overall, I very much enjoyed that game. What was the next one? Azzy's wonky eyebrow says, "Any new games coming up that tickle your fancy?" Well, I've got Resident Evil 4 remake pre-ordered, so I'll be playing that and streaming that actually when it comes out. So I think that's in about a week. It's not long now. Yeah. Do you really drink a lot? I mean, well, I've got this with me right now, so yeah. Mm. I mean, I don't know if you measure my alcohol consumption next to the average person, it's probably a lot higher. Um, what's this? Do I drink a bottle of whiskey before or after a bottle of gin? Whoa. I would say the whiskey should round out your night, so I'd have the gin first and then move on to the whiskey after that. Whiskey is your perfect nightcap thing, you know, if you're looking for a drink just to finish up your night before heading off to bed. Whiskey is the perfect thing. It's good stuff, and it'll knock you out. You'll get a good night's sleep with a couple of glasses of whiskey in you. Oh yeah, average Scottish person. Yeah, yeah. You can't really measure a Scottish person against normal people when it comes to alcohol consumption. So yeah, maybe I'm just in the middle of the pack there, but I do enjoy it. Makes the days going a lot easier. Paddy's Day, yep. Not long now. Not long now. Next question was most recent version says thoughts on Banshees. Can't believe it was snubbed. Yeah, I haven't seen Banshees of Inisherin yet. I've heard it's pretty good. I mean, I like Colin Farrell and I like Brendan Gleeson. I liked In Bruges, so yeah, I can't see how this would be a bad movie. Yeah, I'll reserve judgment until I've seen it though. Eric Johnson says, "What are your thoughts on the John Wick movies?" First one was great. Second one was fairly good. I don't have an issue with it particularly. Third one, yeah, tried to introduce way too much lore, tried to expand the scope way too much. Yeah, they tried to make it too big. And the point of John Wick is it should be intimate. It should be, you know, a low level thing. You know, John Wick versus like some local crime lord or something that he's got a grudge against. That's all you need. So I think they've learned their lesson for John Wick 4. We had Chris Gore on Open Bar the other day, and he was saying that, like, yeah, he thinks it's the best one next to the first. So who knows? You know, maybe they've learned something from that. Yeah, thoughts on Dune, and have you read the books? So I've read the first Dune book. Yeah, loved it. Obviously, classic piece of sci-fi. In terms of the movie, yeah, I think Villeneuve did a good job with it. I think he captures most of the major moments. I think the characters seem pretty accurate to their book counterparts. And overall, I really liked it. I liked his creative vision for Dune. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing the part two, you know? Oh, what are your thoughts on the Pirates of the Caribbean films? Yeah, I mean, damn, that trilogy that we had. The first movie was fantastic. Second one, I thought was still pretty solid. Third one, it was a little bit of like, throwing everything and the kitchen sink. But it was a pretty good blowout like finale to the whole thing. I don't feel like we needed the other two though. Like they were just, felt like they were milking it too much. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they manage to do another one. I want to see if they're going to do it. I need to see Johnny Depp back. He needs to be Jack Sparrow again. You know, I don't want to see a reboot. I don't want to see a remake of it. And the only female Pirates of the Caribbean movie I want to see is the porno version. So yeah, that's what we need to make it work. Next one is from Richard Blum, who says, "You think you might have the almighty lolly on open bar? Also, if you cover Berserk, you should cover both the original anime and the Memorial Edition." Okay, cool. And I've heard nothing good but good things about Berserk. In terms of the almighty lolly, I don't know anything about them, so I don't know what they cover. I don't know what their style is or anything. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep the name in mind. There's like other people that have been recommended to me recently that I'm going to be having on open bar, so that should be good. Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for other guests that we can have on because we don't want to just have the same people on every week. You want to have a nice sort of variety, and it gives them a good chance as well. Like especially if it's a smaller channel, it gives them a little bit of an opportunity to get some more exposure. It's nice thing to be able to do. Kevin Medina says, "How was Atlanta? The wife and I were going to make the drive from Orlando and give you another bottle of Jack. But our kiddos were sick. Oh man, did you give me that bottle of Jack in Tampa? If so, fucking thank you, sir. Yeah, it was. Atlanta was great fun. Like these cons are always just a great weekend. I mean, what can I say? Like it's a pretty crazy weekend of like you fly in, crash out for a couple hours, then get into the con and start, you know, going in straight into drinker mode and basically spend the whole weekend having drinks, doing panel events where you're just talking to a room full of people, meeting folk at your stall, and signing autographs, all that stuff, taking pictures, and then just kind of partying in the evening. And it's great. It's the atmosphere is just like a party the whole time. Like everyone that came up to my table to meet me was just super nice, really friendly. It was just great. It's so positive. The gifts that people give you though, it's yeah, it took me aback. It really did. People giving me bottles of whiskey and stuff, which again, fantastic. Like one guy came up and gave me like a bomber jacket with all these like critical drinker things like sewn into it and stuff. Like it looked amazing. Like obviously loads of work had gone into it and just blew me away that people put in that much time and effort. So yeah, Atlanta was great fun. Um, Here's the question. Would a video trying to discuss and justify every issue with Last of Us 2 be a good watch, you think, or would it be a waste of time? I mean, like breaking down media and doing like long form, analysis of it is never going to be a bad thing. Like if there's things that you want to discuss about a game, then go for it. If you think you can back up your opinions with analysis and stuff, that's got to be a good thing. If nothing else, it helps you to get your own thoughts in order and like clarify how you really feel about this thing. So yeah, I say it's not a bad thing at all. Um, what's this? Drinker mode. Did you say it's drinking time and drinked all over that con? I did really. I drank and I morbed simultaneously, and I didn't even think that was possible, but I found a way. And yeah, it was weird, man. The really strange thing about Atlanta is I feel like maybe I was jet lagged or something, but I was waking up at like 5 a.m. every day on the dot. I don't know why. Like no matter what time I went to bed, no matter how much I had to drink, I woke up just like that. 5 a.m. wide awake, Ended up in the gym at the hotel by like 6 a.m. and it was like, damn, I feel like super productive already. I shouldn't feel like this considering what I drank the night before, but yeah, it was fine. Paid for it when I got home, of course. I was like a fucking wreck. But it's good, man. I love doing these conventions. All right, next question was Chadwick Porter, who says, I know you did a review of Arcane. Have you had a chance to check out Cyberpunk Edge Runners? Yeah, I have. I watched it and I enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. Not quite on the level of Arcane, but good writing, good character development. I like the animation style. Yeah, Cyberpunk Edge Runners was pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Phil Kenso 7 says, G'day Drinker, will you be streaming the Resident Evil 4 remake? Yes, I will. I've got it pre-ordered, so hopefully I'll get it on the day, and yeah, I'll fire that thing up and start streaming it, so you can watch me get my ass handed to me. That'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this one, man. I've stayed away from it so far. I haven't even played the demo, you know? I just want to get the full normal experience when the actual game comes out, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Did you like The Boys season 3? Yeah, overall I did. You know, it's I think I liked it more than season 2, weirdly. It was nice to see Huey actually do stuff for a change. I kind of like Soldier Boy when he was introduced. There was some, you know, your usual like dark humor and stuff that you get with the boys. And yeah, overall, I thought it was decent. I think it's when it comes to like the kind of political aspect of it, like it definitely skews left. You know, it feels like when it comes to mocking the right, it's like it goes for the jugular like every time. But like when it's time to go for the opposite side, it's pretty neutered. But yeah, overall, I thought it was decent. You know. Um, Yeah, Soldier Boy. um, Jan Javi says, "Glad Natu Natu won the Oscars. It was well deserved." What the hell was that? Oh yeah, best original song. Oh yeah, wait, was this from Triple R? Yes. Okay, yeah, that was good. Yeah, the music in Triple R was good stuff. Very catchy. Yeah, where's the doggos? Yeah, that's the problem now with my new setup, right? Because I turned everything basically I did a 180. Like the camera now faces towards the back wall of my office, and you can't really see the critical doggos, unfortunately. So I need to find a way to incorporate them in. Maybe I can have like a camera just pointed at one of them, like lying on the couch, and I'll just have that as like a little window in one corner of the screen or something. Um, yeah, hold on. Are those hot toys? They are indeed. Yeah, I like check it out. See that one there? That was from Az, the Iron Man one. In fact, so was that one, the Leon Kennedy. He just sent them to me because he knows I'm kind of into Resident Evil and I quite like Iron Man as a character. So he just sent them to me, like generous son of a bitch that he is. And then I got a couple others myself. So I've got Batman there, and I've got Jill Valentine from Resident Evil 3. So, and if you look to the other side, that's where I've got all my games consoles and stuff. So these are all the games consoles that I've had throughout my life, like all the PlayStations, an Xbox 360, and a GameCube right down there. And I got my Mauler plushie. He's within a protective cube as well because the doggos tried to eat him because he's quite low down. So I had to protect him, you know. So yeah, it's just little stuff that's nice to have in the background, you know. It's better than just looking out over a blank office, which is what I had before, or just like, you know, random stuff. Yeah. I'm not going to get to that point. I'm not going to get to Gary's level where I've got an entire room full of collectibles and it's like costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever. But yeah, this little stuff for me is enough. The GameCube, it was great. I got it mostly so I could play the Resident Evil games, like the remake of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 4. Yeah, I pretty much just got the GameCube so I could play them. Yeah, yeah. Oh, they should all have an on-air sign. I know. I'm sorry, it's really bright, so it's probably like um, blinding you a little bit. But yeah, there's the open bar sign as well, which is kind of behind me right or in front of me right now. I can't fit it into the area behind me, but what can I do? How's my liver? It's hanging in there. I'm not dead yet, so I'll take that. Zach Toll says, "Do you think a film can get too many Oscars, ruining some of the charm of the film by winning so many? Like Everything Everywhere won 7, La La Land won 6. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it ruins the film or anything. I think maybe maybe the thing that might spoil it is just when it gets too much airplay or too much attention. Like when you feel like it's getting talked about constantly. Like there's one thing to win an Oscar; it's another thing to just be mentioned constantly. And I think that's maybe what puts you off. But you know, I think there's nothing more satisfying, I guess, than seeing a film that you're a big fan of that you really hope is going to do well, and then it gets an Oscar. You know, it's great to see it get that recognition, or a person in this case. You know, like I say, seeing Brendan Fraser win best actor Oscar, fantastic. You know, it just made me feel really happy. Like he deserved it. He's worked his ass off throughout his career. He's had some tough times, and he's making a comeback now, and that is pretty damn admirable. Oh, Nebraska because says, "How's your movie going?" Really good. We've got to an interesting stage, right, where you know, we obviously did the Kickstarter, so we know how much money we have available. We wrote the script. Then we send it to some line producers and stunt guys who cost all this stuff, and they say, right, the stuff that you've written, you know, all these action sequences, these explosions, these pyrotechnics, all these stunt sequences. You think that's like really easy? It's just a couple of lines on a script page. Here's how much it's actually going to cost us to make this and make it happen. And so then we saw that. We all collectively shit our pants and said, okay, cool. So now we are at the stage of how do we trim down the cost and how do we adapt the script slightly so that we can meet in the middle, you know? And there's definitely things you can do because when we got the costing back from these guys, it was like triple A production, you know, like as if this was like a Tom Cruise fucking Mission Impossible movie, the style that we would shoot it in is this. This is where we're at down here, you know, with a bunch of you know, not first timers, but like people who are getting into this now and doing like a relatively major production for the first time. You know, how can we meet in the middle cost wise? And so that's what they're negotiating at the moment amongst themselves, like the director, the producer, the stunt guys. And so yeah, it's not really something I can help with because I'm not a director and I'm not a movie producer, so I have to let them hash it out. But yeah, that stuff is being very productive right now. They are really in the thick of it. And the plan is that they're going to start shooting in the summertime. So the movie will probably be finished, do all its post-production and stuff, and be ready for release towards the end of the year. That's the plan right now. And then we do this. Hopefully it's successful. And then we look to make a feature film next year. That's the plan. Yeah. I'm a writer. It's up to them who they are. Yeah, I mean, kind of is. You know, in terms of actors and stuff, like I've got a bit of input on that, so I can get some options sent to me and give me my thoughts. So I'm always on hand to give insights into the characters as much as I can in terms of what they look like, how they act, what kind of attitude they should convey. So yeah, that's the fun part, I guess, is like casting and stuff, and then you know finding locations to shoot in. They're actually doing that at the moment as well. So it's looking like it's going to be shot in Canada. Oh, here's a good one. Pacific Rim, Give It Flower. I'm planning to actually do an extra shots review on Pacific Rim because I watched it on the flight over to Atlanta actually. for the first time in like a couple of years, and I was like, oh my god, this movie's really good. Like, I don't know why. It's dumb as fuck. It's giant robots punching giant monsters, but it's really fun. It's not smart, but it's really enjoyable, and I just had a blast with it. I think it's a good movie overall. So yeah, I'll give that a good review. Um, Hold on. Next super chat is Night King One says, "You say you're a fan of Top Gun, but you're wearing the wrong aviators. Fake fan alert." Well, what can I say? You know, it's not the 1980s anymore, so I'm doing my best. But yeah, thanks, man. Last Movie Outpost says, "Greetings from Last Movie Outpost. We're working hard to be part of Drinker's Gang to complain about Star Trek. Thought season three, though season three has been great, so thanks for that. I had given up on Picard." Yeah, good. I mean, I had as well. I made an entire video saying basically I'm not going to fucking review this anymore, and so it takes a lot to make me go back on that. But Picard season three won me over, I have to admit, and you know, I shouldn't be telling you all this, guys, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I've watched the whole of Picard season three. I was able to get access to that through Paramount, and it's good. It genuinely is. I think they made that that show with a whole lot of nostalgia, a lot of heart, and just I get the impression they just genuinely wanted to make the best Star Trek show that they could. You know, it doesn't fix everything. It doesn't make Picard not be a fucking robot now. Dumb, but you know, they it is what it is. They were lumbered with stuff that they had to just work with. But I think they did pretty much the best job that they could, and they gave a really satisfying send off to the next generation crew, and I think they did well there. Um, yeah. Do you think the directors are realizing that pushing the message doesn't work? I mean, I hope so. I really hope so. I've had some interesting conversations of late, and it's funny because more and more people in the industry are getting in touch with me and saying like, yeah, there's a lot more people, excuse me, who agree with you than you imagine. They just can't say it publicly, and I think that's quite interesting. So, yeah, man, it feels like the pendulum might be swinging slowly, but it's swinging all the same. Oh yeah, God, yeah. What do you think about The Last of Us saying how great communism is? That one just came out of nowhere, man. I even mentioned this in my review. Yeah, they're on I guess you would say it like a communal farm. Like it's a community that everyone's expected to pitch in. Everyone has to do their share, and there's not really any ownership of businesses or anything because, you know, there can't be. It's a survival situation, and there's only like 100 of you. And so Joel's like, oh, so it's like communism basically, and his brother says to him like, no, it's not like that. And then his wife, um, you know, a strong, empowered female character just has to chip in and say, no, it literally is that. This is a commune. We're communists. And it's like, no, that's what you're describing there is not what communism is. This is just a necessary measure because it's a survival situation. You know, it might be different if there was hundreds of thousands of you and you had, you know, progressed to the level of having like an actual economy again with currency and the potential for industry. Like you don't have any of that stuff. You're just subsistence farmers basically. That's the level you're at. There's not really any potential for communism or capitalism or anything like that. It's just a bunch of people trying to not die. So yeah, the show it throws that in there and it's weird and it just feels forced as fuck. Um, yeah, people like communism until they start living under communism. Yeah, a good friend of mine that I used to work with, she grew up in the Czech Republic back when it was still Czechoslovakia and it was still communist. And yeah, she had some very interesting stories about life there. And it was, yeah, it makes you appreciate the life that we have over here in the West. Let me put it that way. This is truly the question of our time. Can porn work as a musical? I mean, it's not to my taste, but you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess. It's not what I look for in my porn, put it that way. Andrew Monpetit says, "Fun random stream you've got here. What's the occasion and what are you avoiding?" I mean, I'm avoiding all kinds of problems in my life, but for this, it's literally just I do these Ask the Drinker streams every once in a while, and because, like I said earlier, I'm doing open bar every week. There hasn't been as many opportunities to do them recently, and I guess some people who have joined the channel recently don't even know that they're a thing. But this is like the, I don't know, the 10th or the 11th one. The 11th one, yeah, the 11th time I've done this. So I do like to do it every once in a while. It's just a chance to like, you know, throw open the floor and let people ask me questions. You know, rather than me going in with like specific stuff I want to talk about, like we do with Open Bar. You know, you guys can just ask me stuff, and I'll do my best to answer. You know, and it's kind of fun. It's nice to do something a bit different, I guess. Um, Zeta Ravioli says, "What are your thoughts on Guardians Volume 3? Do you think it's good or not sure yet?" I mean, obviously, you know, I can only infer so much from the trailer. It looks like it's going for a more somber tone, a bit of more serious tone. I think this is James Gunn's last hurrah with Marvel, and I guess for some of these actors as well, it's probably going to be their last, you know, spin of the wheel as well. And yeah, I think people are going to die in this. I think it's going to be a bit more emotionally impactful than the previous ones have been. And yeah, I think it'll probably be good. You know, I've got enough faith in James Gunn's ability to do good movies like this that I think it'll be a decent film. It'll probably be the only decent film that Marvel get in Phase 5. So they should make the most of that and, yeah, enjoy it while it lasts because I don't think it will. What's this? What? The Scottish flag is blocked? What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck indeed? That's sacrilege, sir. Um, yeah, is this YouTube playing funny buggers? I don't know. Um, yeah. To be fair, we thought Ant-Man 3 would be good. I mean, they almost had me. They almost had me with the serious trailer that didn't have any goofy Marvel jokes in it, and I thought for one moment it's like, oh wow, there might be real stakes to this. This could be something. This could be something interesting. And then we got the actual movie, and yeah, well, it was what it was, I suppose. And what it was garbage. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Um, this- yeah, someone subscribed to Mr. Brown Alliance, so yeah, give him a go. He does fantastic stuff, and I've streamed with him a few times and very much enjoyed it. I'm just looking for the next super chat here because I had to refresh the list because there was loads. So bear with me 1 second. Oh yeah, here we go. The Tickler says, "Hail Drinker, do you think the folks pushing the message have finally pushed too far and the tides are turning in woke Hollywood?" Yeah, I kind of do actually. Like I said earlier, I've had interesting conversations with people within the industry who are saying like, yeah, this is starting to change now. 2022 was a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of people, and particularly at the executive level, they've had too many movies bomb, they've had too many losses, and they are getting kind of sick of it, and they're asking questions as to why it's happening. And well, it doesn't take long for them to figure out why. So yeah, I think it's starting to turn now. You know, I always caution people and say like, look, it takes a good 3 or 4 years for a movie to get like commissioned from the initial idea to a script to casting to filming to post production and then to release. You know, it takes a long time. And so, you know, what we're seeing now was probably commissioned back in like 2020. And so there's going to be a period of, you know, course correction where it takes a long time for these things to filter through to the finished product, but I think it will happen, and I think maybe we're going to see the results of that. Maybe not quite this year, but definitely next year. Next one is Last Movie Outpost says, do you think Metalis will get more seasons of Trek, or will that be one and done? Is this the last gasp at best? Well, I mean, I hope he does. Honestly, like with this guy's attitude, with his commitment to like doing good storytelling, and with what he's been able to do with Picard season 3, I'd just put that guy in charge of all Star Trek TV projects moving forward. Like he clearly knows his stuff and he clearly cares about what he's doing. So yeah, I'd love to see him do more. I'm hoping, because I've talked to him, um, that I can bring him on for like an interview or something. And the plan is that I would bring him on towards the end of this season so we can actually talk about it without spoiling it for people, and get his thoughts on it. But yeah, it'd be great to bring him in. It'd be great to chat to him, and yeah, I hope he gets more gigs within Star Trek because he's the kind of guy you want to be making Star Trek products. Um, Next one is Roger Rubio, who says, "Have a drink on me and much love, drinker." Thank you, much love to you, man. I'll drink. I'll raise my miniature to you. Mm. Vashrion Jean Page says, "Fellow drinker, I showed my mom a pic of you and she said you should be the next Bond. Would you consider it if asked? Her favourite was Sean Connery. Yes, I would consider it, but I would require at least 20 million per movie, because I'm definitely in high demand in Hollywood." I mean, honestly, like, yeah, you're never going to top Sean Connery. That's the problem. Charismatic son of a bitch. But hey, at least we had him while he lasted. Chota says, just watched Black Panther 2. Ironically thought that Riri Williams felt like a Black Token character. Was it just me, or did you see it as well? I mean, she's from the comics, so she does exist in that world, but I think she was basically invented to be like a replacement Tony Stark. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know. She was not really a character in this movie. She didn't really have a personality. She didn't have any particular drives or gripes or hang-ups or hurdles to overcome. She was just a person that people fought over. That was all she was. Um, which is, well, you're not really selling her. And the fact that she's being geared up to be the next Tony Stark is just kind of sad, really. I think nobody in their right mind is gonna warm to this character, where it's like she's just suddenly given all Iron Man's powers and stuff. She didn't earn it. She didn't deserve it. She's just given it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is. Um, SS Phoenix says, "Appreciate your brilliant review of Triple R as it brings awareness of unwoke cinema." Yes, absolutely. That's why it's so fucking good. I highly recommend Kantara, Kani, Raman, Raghav 2.0, etc. Also, what do you think of the butterfly effect? So, yeah, I mean, I haven't obviously heard of those movies, but the butterfly effect, is that the Ashton Kutcher one? I thought it was. God, it was about 20 years ago when I saw it, so bear with me, my memory could be slightly hazy. And I'm sure there's different versions of the ending. Um, yeah, I didn't like the one where he basically kills himself in the womb. that was that was a downbeat as fuck ending. But yeah, the idea behind it is kind of an interesting one. Um, this idea that like tiny changes early on can have massive ripple effect consequences throughout your life and throughout history. Um, yeah, that aspect of it was pretty cool. Um, yeah, I'm struggling to remember it too much. I don't think Ashton Kutcher is necessarily a great actor who can convey a lot of gravitas to scenes like that. So the premise was good. I don't recall the movie being amazing or anything. The next one is David Ritigu says, "Hey Drinker, apart from movies and video games, do you also review comic books? If so, we can send recommendations." Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, with all the other stuff that I've got to try and do, I just wouldn't have time. I've got movies, I've got TV shows, I've got video games, and between all of those things, it's too much already. And I'm not enough of a comic book or like aficionado to be able to give you a good balanced view of them. So yeah, I just don't think it's my thing, I'm afraid. Um, Isaac Martinez says, "Were you happy for All Quiet winning 4 Oscars?" Yes, I was very happy because I thought that was a fantastic film, and yeah, I'm very happy that you know, based on a novel that was written in like the 1920s, it's still captivating people today. Man, that's got to say something. And you know, uh, even like setting aside the filmmaking, the fundamental message about reminding people of how fucking awful war is, uh, it's no bad thing. It's no bad thing to do that, particularly when it comes to the First World War. There's a reason we say "lest we forget," and I think an important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, I'm very pleased that it's done so well. Sub Zero Pingu Drive says, "Drinker, please review Heartstopper. It has a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you must thoroughly critique it. You will have a field day with the wood planks in it." Heartstopper, okay. Um, is it like one of those ones that the critics love but audiences hate, um, or is it just genuinely a fantastic movie? Um, yeah, I guess I'll find out. A Confused Rock says, "I usually think of Hollywood award seasons as self-fellatio, but I'm glad to see Brendan Fraser and I always butcher his name, Ki Hu Kwan, get their Oscars. Thoughts?" Yeah, I'm very happy for both of them. It feels like a kind of subdued Oscars this year. It's almost like, I don't know, they've been humbled a little bit and they're trying to pull it back. Yeah, the winners I thought kind of deserved it, so I'm happy enough with that. So yeah, no big issues, I guess, with the Oscars this year. Mm. Bluntosaur says, "Any chance that you'll be at Anime Weekend Atlanta?" I've no idea what that is. The one that people kept mentioning to me was Dragon Con. They're like, "Oh man, you've got to come to Dragon Con in September. Like that's awesome." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like that's mostly for cosplayers." And it's like I'm not there as a cosplayer. I would just be there as like a YouTuber. I just don't know how I would fit into that. I mean, damn, like I would happily get drunk and just like go and see all the cosplay and the awesome like outfits that people have got. But yeah, man, I don't know if like Dragon Con would have been the thing for me. But yeah, it was Anime Weekend. Um, yeah, Dragon Con is epic. Do it. Yeah, basically when people describe it, they're like, it's pretty much just a giant party for the whole weekend. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. That'll be fine. Um, yeah, I feel sorry for people that, a lot of these costumes, I'm assuming, are very like heavy and cumbersome and sweaty and uncomfortable to wear. And having to do that in Atlanta in late summer, that has got to be brutal, man. That's got to be a tough gig. Um, Drinker, are you excited about Resident Evil 4? Yes, mildly. you know? um, yeah, apparently the demo was really good. Like I've stayed away from most of the spoilers and stuff about it. Like I obviously played and completed the original game, so I can't imagine it'll be too different. But yeah, I've got it pre-ordered, so I should get it on the day. I will play it, I will stream it, and we'll just see what happens. Oh, sorry. All right, next one is Antriv Singh, who says, "What do you think of Clarkson's farm, and what are your thoughts on Lord Jeremy himself? Total legends, all three of them. Kids should be raised on old Top Gear." Yeah, fucking love Top Gear. Love the Grand Tour. The chemistry between Clarkson, May, and Hammond is just perfect. It's perfect. It's just a bunch of guys, good mates who are just dicking around in cars together. Um, what can go wrong? Love the adventures that they go on, like the incredible yeah, driving across Burma or driving across the Middle East or Peru or whatever, like all the challenges and stuff they face is fantastic. Yeah, love that stuff. And Clarkson's Farm, yeah, it should be the most boring shite you could ever imagine. It's like literally a guy trying to run a farm, and yet it somehow becomes compelling and gripping and just like funny, but moving at times as well, and like frustrating as fuck. Like you see how much shit he gets from like, the locals, the council, all the local government and all that stuff. Because I don't know if it's like this in America, right? But in the UK, it's like if you want to do anything on your own privately owned land, you need permission from the local council. You need to get planning permission. You need to get all these like surveys and shit done. Um, and it's like they stand in his way every step of the way. Like he wants to make like a small restaurant on his farm so that he can sell like local produce. It gets refused. He wants to make like a car park because so many people come to visit him and stuff. Gets refused. He wants to make a farm track just to run through his land. He gets refused. Like everything is just stacked against him. And so yeah, it's just it's an interesting thing. And yeah, it makes you realize how fucking hard it is to try and turn a profit when you're a farmer. Like how all the hoops that you have to jump through, all the problems that come up, like all the diseases and stuff that can like wipe out your entire stock of animals. Like it's interesting. It really is, and it's good that it gets made. It gives us a bit more insight into all the shit that actually has to happen, to produce those fucking burgers on your plate. Um, Hikira says, I'm drunk, that is all. Well, join the club, sir. Thank you. Jacob McQuaig says, ever played Knights of the Old Republic? Great RPG set in the Star Wars universe. Haven't played it myself, no. I've heard it's really good, though. Just hadn't really got into the Star Wars games. M. Penn says, hey Drinker, have you ever watched the Adult Swim cartoon The Venture Brothers? It's a satirical comedy that follows super scientists, action heroes, and villains in a style like the Johnny Quest cartoon. Well worth a watch. I haven't watched it. I've heard really good things about it, though. It's meant to be really good, so yeah, I'd be up for watching that. Mercurial Funk says, I know you've enjoyed anime lately, and it's been said before, but you'll also like Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Cheers. Yeah, like I said, I've watched that already and very much enjoyed it. Cyberpunk Edge Runners was a good series. I like the characters, I like the world that they created. The animation style was really good. Yeah, good stuff. Night King 1 says, the guy that owns my comic shop practices martial arts, and he met Steven Seagal when studying Aikido and said he was one of the worst human beings ever. I am not surprised in the slightest. Everything I've heard about Steven Seagal just tells me he's a complete fucking asshole. And, you know, each to their own, I suppose. Like, he's still got some kind of fan base, I guess, but, like, his movies are just hilarious now. Like, this morbidly obese man in his late 60s trying to pretend that he can still, like, kick ass and shoot guns and do all these martial arts fight scenes. It's the saddest thing ever. But you've almost got to respect that level of self-delusion, and the fact that he thinks that anyone believes that's his real hair. It's just, God bless you, Steven Seagal. Sub-Zero Pingo Drive says, hi Drinker, please review Heartstopper. The actors are planks of wood, even more so than Brie Larson. That's not possible. You're going to have a field day with it. Believe that! Well, I mean, it's a good recommendation if nothing else. Ryan Norris says, if it hasn't been mentioned, highly, highly recommend the show Rogue Heroes. Is that the SAS thing? Requires an MGM subscription to watch, but it's a great show. Oh yeah, about the SAS in North Africa, and season 2 will be in Italy. No, it sounds good. I've heard good things about it, so yeah, definitely be up for watching that. And yeah, Ellie's gay, by the way. I was so happy that I could work that into my Last of Us review. It's been too long. The Field says, any advice for someone wanting to publish fiction? Well, I'll tell you what, man. Go to my second channel, go to Critical Drinker After Hours, and there's a video there about publishing advice, basically how to get your manuscript published. It tells you all about like how to approach agents, how to approach publishers, even just how to tidy up your book into like a workable format, and the things that people look for in a new author. Yeah, that's the best advice I can give. It's all in that video there. Yeah. What are your thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan? I think he had some fantastic movies at the start of his career. The problem is when your entire shtick is just relying on that gimmick of a crazy twist ending every time, you're always under pressure to produce another twist that's more shocking than the ones before. And inevitably, you're going to hit creative bedrock. You're just going to hit that point where it becomes ludicrous. And I think, he obviously hit that point. Um, and it's a shame. But some of his early movies were just fantastic stuff. Um, oh damn! One that came in for £100 from Robbo says, "Hi drinker, glad to see The Last of Us got your seal of approval." Yeah, it was. You know what? It was nice to be able to like something. What can I say? In a perfect world, Joel doesn't die in season two, but if he does, I hope it's the last episode to allow more time with him and Ellie, and either on his terms or by his own hand. Deserves a way better send off than in the game. Yep, 100% agree with you, man. Um, I know that The Last of Us 2 is going to get broken up into two seasons, so my guess is they're going to give us more time with Joel and Ellie. That is what I think. I think maybe he'll die in the climax of season two, and then season three will be like Ellie's quest for revenge and stuff. Um, but yeah, like you, I hope against hope that he's gonna die some kind of heroic death, or at least it's gonna mean something, or maybe he goes out on his own terms, or he sacrifices himself or something, rather than just that miserable, pathetic death that he got in the game. It was just awful, and so I hope they do that. Um, I did have the idea that maybe as well the first season of like that storytelling arc, so like basically season two might focus on Abby leading up to Joel getting killed rather than Ellie, because I think if it was up to me, that's how I would do it. If I had to try and build up Abby as a sympathetic character, I would show her backstory first and then have her kill Joel rather than just have her do it for shock value, because you're never going to come back from something like that. So hopefully, I mean, they did a good job with season one, but they followed the game really closely, and that's where you run into problems when you start following the game really closely for season two. And yeah, Ellie's gay, by the way. We need to be reminded. um, Eddie Brock says, IGN gave John Wick 4 a 10. Should we be worried? I don't think it's going to go woke, put it that way. It doesn't seem like the kind of series that's going to do that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like I say, Chris Gore was singing its praises, so it could be possible. Maybe they made another good John Wick movie. It can definitely be done. Um, Sam Wallace Art says, not keen on the immunity explanation. Why wouldn't Marlene try to replicate the same results with different pregnant women? It was nice to see Ashley as the mum, though. I predicted that. Yeah, I think that flashback kind of pissed me off, because the idea that you could like give birth without even noticing it, yeah, that's not how it works. Like it's a pretty involved process, and it takes quite a while. The baby doesn't just pop out like that, and you're like, oh wow, shit, whole baby that just came out of me. But yeah, I've heard these kind of explanations before. Why didn't you try other people? Why didn't you try other methods of getting this cure? How do you know it was even going to be successful? Did you even have the infrastructure to deliver it and stuff? You can kind of ask these questions forever. At a certain point, like I have to sort of say, why? Okay, the narrative is presenting me with this moral choice here, based on, this cure has to be harvested from her brain. It means sacrificing her life because there's no other way. Fine, I can accept that in the context of the story, and it's a moral choice you're presented with. Then it's like, do I sacrifice this person that I love dearly and I've come to care for the greater good, or is she worth more to me? That's the choice that Joel's presented with as a kind of father figure, and you understand exactly why he makes that choice, because you see what he's lost, and he can't do that again, and so that was fine by me, you know. Um, The provocateur extraordinaire says, "Hail drinker, I usually like to ask about the shootist because it's amazing, but today I'm curious about your opinion on food. Okay. What's your favorite dish? How exotic is the drinker's tongue?" I mean, I don't know, man. Like, um, just favorite stuff. I guess it would be like probably like a really good quality sirloin steak with all the trimmings and the red wine sauce and stuff. Like that would be like my favorite thing. But like in terms of stuff I just generally like to eat, like I'm fine with like Chinese, Indian, Thai food, Mexican, like anything really. I really like spicy food. Um, yeah, like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff I very much enjoy. I even like a damn good kebab on occasion, especially when I've had a few beers. So yeah, all of that stuff is great. Like, you know, we're very lucky in that we've got access to like food from all over the world. Like, you've probably got, if you live in a decent sized town, you've probably got restaurants from every corner of the world within about 10 minutes walk of your house or 10 minutes drive, and that's awesome. Sample it all. Um, Lasagna or steak? I go for steak every time. Damn it. Of course. Poutine. I don't mind poutine actually. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense, but it's strangely tasty. Especially if you've got really good gravy to go on it. But yeah, poutine is okay. Um, yeah. Whenever I'm in Edinburgh, I treat myself to a deep fried cheese. Yeah, you can get deep fried Mars bars in Scotland. That's quite the delicacy. It's in batter and everything. Um, yeah, I'm just saying. Putin. I wouldn't want to eat Putin. Put it that way. uh, what's this? What the fuck is poutine? Well, I'll sure tell you. It's a Canadian thing, and it's basically like French fries with gravy, and you can either just have like cheese or like cheese curds or something. I think they use in the original recipe, but most of the time you just get like melted cheese grated on top of it. But either way, it's pretty good stuff. It'll put some hair on your ass, that's for sure. The next one's from Bullet Sponge, who says, "Drinker, there's something for all the hard work that you do for all the best content." Oh, thanks, man. Also, have you played any of the Far Cry games? And if so, what are your thoughts? Yeah, I played a whole bunch of them. I think Far Cry 3, Far Cry Primal, Far Cry 6. Didn't like Far Cry 6 all that much. I thought it was a bit weak, but the one I haven't played yet is Far Cry 5, where I think it's in the south in America. So it looked really good. For some reason it passed me by at the time. I'd like to give that a go. But yeah, I generally quite enjoy the Far Cry games. Um, Topek says, "Hey Drinker, you should take a look at Kenji Kamiyama works. He made one of Star Wars Vision episode, and he will direct Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim. You could love GITS standalone complex and the second gig too." All right, thanks, man. Thanks for the recommendation. John Smith says, "Thoughts on the following 90s films? Basic Instinct." Yes! 12 Monkeys, fantastic. Good, does time travel pretty well. I liked it. American Beauty, yeah, it's fine. Didn't really care that much about it, but yeah, I recognize it for being pretty significant. Notting Hill, don't really care about that. That's sort of that period of what was his name? I always forget the actor's name. Hugh Grant. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, I think that was the period when he was still playing like the foppish Englishman kind of thing. Like he's obviously graduated beyond that now, but back then he was still doing it, and yeah, it was just starting to piss me off. On the plus side, though, I did see Hugh Grant's fucking awful interview with that showbiz correspondent at the Oscars, and he was just giving her absolutely nothing. It's like every question, it was just like, "So where's that suit from?" I don't know. given to me. Like, are you excited for anything? Nah, not really. I'm I'm just happy to be here. And it was just like brilliant. You could tell the guy just didn't give a shit, and I absolutely respected that. Loved it. It's so cringy. um, Noah Zork says, first chance to super chat you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the super chat. Why do you think they miscast Ellie? Seems like Hollywood BS, missed opportunity. Go away now. I don't know. I don't think there was a specific reason why they miscast her. I don't think they set out to miscast her. Presumably, Bella Ramsey did something that they really liked, but for the life of me, I don't know what it could have been. Like, she doesn't look anything like Ellie. I don't think she's a particularly great actress. Her face is just. I, I don't know what I should say here. I don't want to be harsh because it's like, look, she looks the way she looks, and like it's a bit shit to like criticize that. But you know, as an actor, you're hired to play a specific role, and particularly when it's a well-established character, you have to resemble that character. You know, Pedro Pascal isn't a great likeness for Joel either, but like I think he can do enough that he was able to pass for him. But yeah, I wouldn't have picked her, I guess, if I had a choice. There's bound to be other actresses out there that are better suited to that role. Um, yeah. Bobby Light says, how would you feel about the Last of Us prequel game following Joel and Tommy the first few years of the outbreak? I mean, I'd be fine with that, I guess. I think that would be a perfectly decent story. Like, they're obviously quite big on flashbacks already. Like, 2 entire episodes were devoted to it. But yeah, I guess there's interesting things you can do. What I found quite interesting was those little glimpses, and it only happens in the first few episodes, where you get like flashbacks to the pandemic itself, like the outbreak, how people tried to cope with it, what the government's response was. That stuff I think is really interesting. I would like to know how it played out. What did they try and do to combat this thing? Like, did they come close to finding a solution, or you know, when did they realize we're going to have to go on the defensive here? We're not going to get back human society. We're going to have to go into QZs and all that stuff. And when did Fedra basically take over everything? I think that stuff is really cool, and that you could craft a show around that for sure. Just 1 second. Yeah, Cody Griffin says, sorry, boss, but I asked you like 3 streams ago when YouTube lost some of the super chats. Oh shit, sorry. Yeah, there was one stream I did where I think we did lose a few. I wanted to know about your thoughts on Spartacus, favorite characters and plot. Yeah, so Spartacus, it really felt like it was a sort of follow on from that 300 style of filmmaking, you know, the sudden slow motion cuts and everything, very stylized violence. Um, it was very heavy on the nudity, violence, gore, sex, just all the good stuff that a grown boy needs, you know. Um, I liked the cast. I thought Crixus was probably one of my favorite characters. The fact that he gets so badly injured and like has to claw his way back as a gladiator. Yeah, I think probably he would be my favorite character overall. I mean, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good show. I was never bored while watching it. Put it that way. The dudes that were in it, they must have put in some serious time at the gym as well. Because damn, everyone's absolutely built like a brick shit house, and yeah, the women aren't too bad either. So there's something for everyone. Definitely enjoyed Spartacus. Yeah. This is a good question actually. How the fuck did Ellie see the giraffes? Because yeah, when she says like, "Hey Joel, you wouldn't believe this," and then she like runs away and drops the ladder that he was supposed to be climbing up. So yeah, as far as she's concerned, he might as well just fuck off and die. But then when you actually see her, she's always running round the building. She's literally going in circles. It's like, how did you spot these giraffes in the first place? So yeah, that was all a bit weird. Okay, next one is. Um, yeah, Dumb Genius who says, "What's your predictions of how Last of Us season 2 is going to play out? You think they're going to stick closely to the game or change things up?" Personally, I think they're going to stick to it because Neil Druckmann himself said, "I don't care about the backlash to the game. He's very much got his creative vision, and he's determined to see it through." I mean, you saw elements of that in this season one, where he just had to work in that episode 7, where it's like the Left Behind DLC. Totally didn't need to be there. It was superfluous to the narrative, but he wanted it there because it was important to him. It was a piece of storytelling that he did. And so, yeah, I think they're probably going to stick fairly closely to it. The best we can hope for is that we get more time with Ellie and Joel before he gets killed off, but that's probably the best we're going to get there. Um, Liam Fabian gave me $2, so thanks, man. Juna Matrix says, "Hi from Japan. Any movies that you're looking forward to seeing in 2023?" Not a huge amount, to be honest. Like I say, I think June 2 is coming out this year. I'd be interested to see Oppenheimer, see if that's any good. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will probably be alright. Captain Lunar says, "What's your favourite moment in God of War Ragnarok?" I don't want to spoil it for people, but fuck it, yeah, I probably will anyway. I There's a lot of great scenes between Freya and Kratos, particularly once she realizes that he's not a bad man, he's not an evil person, and she learns to forgive him. There's some great stuff there of like her character gradually coming around, and I really liked her arc as a character. But yeah, the like ultimately the story is about the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, and the moment at the end when Atreus, realizes and tells Kratos that he has to find his own path now. He has to leave him and he has to go his own way. That was some great stuff because it's one of those few moments where Kratos shows like that real emotion. Doesn't break down crying or anything, but he really, like, his voice breaks a little bit. He hugs Atreus, and I just thought that was fantastic. Brilliant. Great character work there. Love Kratos as a character, and yeah, it's overall a fantastic game. Next question was John Smith, who says, "Extra shots for Cliffhanger and Apollo 13, maybe?" Yep, I would happily do extra shots for both of them. Really enjoyed both movies. Great stuff. Kevin O'Neill says, "Is there any movie or game that left you devastated by not living up to the pre-release hype? For me, it was Godzilla 2014. It was advertised as the Godzilla horror movie that I always wanted." Not on the video game front, no. Like, I've never been that brutally disappointed before. I think in terms of movies, yeah, probably the Star Wars movies, like the sequel trilogy. I had such high hopes, and damn, especially Last Jedi just absolutely destroyed them. So that was probably the one, I guess. Sam Wallace Art says, "My theory is the Last of Us finale felt rushed as fuck because they filmed it at the same time as season 2 episode 1. There's definitely missing material there." I don't know, like, it doesn't feel like they cut things, like there's not jarring cuts or anything. It's just it kind of generally rushes through the whole narrative and the setup of it fairly quickly. I didn't necessarily have an issue with that because I think what you get is enough to get across the main points. You understand the situation, you understand what Joel's up against, and you understand the decision that he makes. But yeah, overall, when I think about the pacing of the season, I would have definitely ditched episode 7 and maybe episode 3 as well. They ditched both of the flashback episodes, giving us a bit more in the here and now, and particularly giving us more with the infected because, yeah, we really didn't get much of them. Like, after episode 5, they pretty much just ceased to exist. They're no longer an issue. And yeah, if you're talking about like finding a cure for the infection or at least a way to immunize people against it, you need to like hammer home how dangerous the infected are. And it's like you're almost forgotten by that point. Whiskey Eye says, "Hail, Drinker, what's your thoughts on Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer that comes out this summer? I think it will end with a big bang." Yes, I think you're right in that one. But yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan movies, they're pretty much scientifically spot on, and I'm sure it's going to be a very intellectual film. I just hope they remember to include some actual characters in it as well. They've got a good cast, so they can do good things with this. I just hope they do it. Christian Vardal says Bella Ramsey looks nothing like Ellie from the game. True, but actually looks a lot like a younger version of Ellie's voice actor from the game. I don't know what her voice actor looks like, if I'm honest with you, but yeah, she definitely doesn't look like Ellie. Dunedin Dude says, what is one of the most overrated shows or movies of all time? Oof, shit. Overrated. Oh, damn. I mean, Midsummer for me is one of the most overrated ones. Like that gets crazy, like good reviews as a horror movie. I mean, I've gone on record as saying like I really didn't enjoy it at the time. I think the morality of it is completely fucked. I didn't particularly like any of the characters, even the one I'm meant to sympathize with. Um, so yeah, I think that would probably be my choice. But yeah, like if you're talking about mainstream reviews as well, like yeah. Take your pick. Like the divide between like mainstream critics and audiences is pretty enormous these days. Um, so yeah, like any of the ones that I guess critics were heaping praise on because they spout the correct political messaging. Um, yeah, generally turn out to be absolute garbage. Uh, As his wonky eyebrow says, started the miniatures, can't be out of booze yet. Yeah, well, there's always a few left over, what can I do? It's always a good opportunity to use these up, actually. What was this? Peaky Blinders spiced rum, and it was pretty good, I must admit. I like that. Sam Wallace Art says, playing with Gerard Butler was good rat. High concept action thriller done well with characters who aren't idiots. Well, I mean, that makes a nice change, so yeah, I'd be up for that, for sure. Night King 1 says, I started playing Resident Evil 6 recently. What a terrible game, but what a hilarious one to play with friends and laugh at. Yeah, I think that's the best way to enjoy it for sure. It's so over the top, so ridiculous, so Japanese. You gotta love it. Cult of Personality says, I feel like Last of Us TV show was a good show, but an okay adaptation. Really worried about changes made in this season to fit Last of Us 2's adaptation. Yeah, I mean, you should be worried because they're gonna bring all that stuff in my opinion. So yeah, it's probably gonna be bad. Um, yeah, Resident Evil 6 had too many QTEs. It just had too much of everything. I think that's probably the best way to look at it. It's just too much Resident Evil. Mass Jackal says, Hey Drinker, as I've said on a previous live stream, the only way to salvage Indiana Jones is to have Ke Huan back as Short Round. Yes, I agree 100%. Happy for him and Brendan winning in the Oscars. Yeah, I'm happy too. And I think it was Tom from Midnight's Edge who mentioned this as well on Twitter. He was like, yeah, bring this guy back and just have him be the foil to Indy in the new movie if you really have to do it, rather than Phoebe Waller-Bridge. How much more would people love it? 200 Watt Studio says, enjoying Picard Season 3. When do you think Worf got his new teeth? He no longer has the gnarly Klingon teeth. I didn't notice that actually, but yeah, that could be it. Yeah, maybe they've got good dental care, I suppose. They've got a good dental plan as a Klingon. But yeah, I like Worf in it. I like the whole season, to be honest. Liquid Chief says, because tomorrow is his 80th birthday, what are your thoughts on David Cronenberg and would you review any of his films? I mean, I would absolutely review his films. He's like the king of body horror, so it's all good fun stuff. Yeah, it's maybe like a Halloween thing, I suppose, would be a good time to do that sort of thing. T.A. Prince says, are you ever going to review that Wednesday show? Like actual Wednesday? Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one actually because I watched it, quite liked it. Wednesday was a little bit overpowered at times, but I thought the actress did a great job. I think it was Jenna Ortega. Yeah, I just feel like that time has come and gone. Nobody would really care about it now. But yeah, overall, I quite liked Wednesday. FRM Outside Space says, Please, can you do a video on Resident Evil 4 then and now, and also your personal expectations of the remake? I mean, I could, yeah. I mean, I think I did a review fucking way back in the day of Resident Evil 4, just a Resident Evil retrospective. So, I mean, you can see that. And when the new game comes out, I'll do a review on it. Like, I'll stream it and then review it once I've completed it. So, you'll get that anyway. Eric Newton says, I'm looking forward to John Wick Chapter 4. Rarely go to the movies anymore, but that is one that I'll go for. Nice one. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it lives up to your expectations. Jammy Jam George says, would love them to make another Battlestar Galactica show or updated CGI. I know there have been attempts to do it over the years. I feel like it was a few years too early to be appreciated more now. Battlestar Galactica was fantastic, and yeah, although maybe the CGI space battle sequences don't look amazing by today's standards, like, they're good enough. Like, damn, they're like miles ahead of like the 90s sort of CGI that you got like just a few years before it. So yeah, I think it's fine. John Orchard says, just giving you money because I'm drinking, like tipping to ugly waitresses at the pub. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it, man. Liam Fibian says, thoughts on Puss in Boots 2 being nominated? I'm fine with that. Like, really fun, good movie. Good-hearted stuff. I really enjoyed Puss in Boots 2. Way more than I expected to be honest. Sam Wallace Art says, as someone who grew up in China, small-scale communism is always a crapshoot. Some successes like Jackson, some more like KC. The problem is when you scale it into the millions, too many strangers to manage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure that sort of thing works fine when you're working on a little commune farm with like 100 people because everyone knows each other, everyone wants to contribute. It doesn't work on a nation-state level though. Do you know who the voice actress for Ellie is? It's the pregnant lady in the show's season finale. You know, it's funny. Now that you say that Bella Ramsey looks like her, she fucking does. I just thought that they cast that girl because she looked a bit like Bella Ramsey. I didn't know that that was the voice actress from Ellie. So that is a weird bit of like art imitating art, I suppose. That's ultimately what you've got. Yeah, no, interesting stuff, I guess. Lucas, sorry if I'm butchering your name, Szizmansky says, sci-fi horror like Alien 1 and Terminator 1, or sci-fi action like Aliens and Terminator 2. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you, man. And yeah, I would probably, in terms of what I would just generally enjoy watching, I would go for Aliens and Terminator 2 over Alien and Terminator 1. Not that they're not great movies in their own right, because they absolutely are, but as my personal preference, I'd go for action over horror. Shringan Azund says, have you seen Chronicles of Narnia movies from the early 2000s? And if so, what do you think of them? Nah, never watched them. It's weird. I just never gave a shit about the books, and so I never watched the movies. And, you know, I don't think they were great by all accounts, so... yeah, I just never got into them at all. And Noah's Orc says, will Scottish AI replace you? Nah, because no AI can get as drunk as I can. Believe that! Nah, just, it can't be done, God damn it. That's what I have to believe to keep myself going. But look, I hate to say this, I really do, but I am quite tipsy and I'm a bit tired as well, and I don't want to rush through the remaining super chats that are on my list, right, and totally like mess them up or you know, not give them a proper response. So what I'll probably do, right, is do a catch-up stream just to cover all the super chats that I've missed here, because there's still a few outstanding. But I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in for this. It was nice to do an Ask the Drinker again and try and answer some of your questions. And I appreciate your generosity for this, absolutely, you know, 100%. And also, my mods, thank you guys, as always, for helping out. I really appreciate you guys. The next time you see me will probably be on Open Bar on Thursday night. And yeah, we'll have a few drinks then as well, and we'll have a laugh too. But thank you for this tonight, and yeah, I guess that is all I've got for today. So, go away now. And here I am again. It's almost like I'm recording this on a totally different day and I'm just splicing the two videos together to make it an easier experience for you guys. But hey ho, excuse me. Obviously, there was a few other super chats that I need to get through before I can finish up with this stream. So here we go. Let me carry on with the next one on the list. Stephen D says, have you ever watched Garth Marenghi's Dark Place? Because you should watch it with Mahler. Content's dream there, my boy. Well, no, I haven't actually seen that, I'm afraid, mate. Don't know much about it. In fact, I've never even really heard about it. But yeah, if you think Mahler and I should watch it, I'm always up for something like that. Chaos Tincture says, hey Drinker, big fan of the channel and the Drake novels. I'm curious if you're excited for the Resident Evil 4 remake. I am indeed, I'm extremely excited. So it's on pre-order, can't wait to play it. I'll probably stream some of it as well. Gleeman says, Terry Metalis, ex-producer of Picard Season 3, also wrote for Terra Nova and the 12 Monkeys series. Both are pretty good watches. 12 Monkeys is one of the best stories dealing with time travel. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I watched Terra Nova back in the day. Didn't love that very much. It felt like a show that never really managed to do that much with its premise. But I'm pretty sure it had Stephen Lang in it, and he's always awesome. So there was some good things to it, at least. Nathan P says, you tried the new Resident Evil 4 remake yet? Looks great. Haven't tried it yet. I kind of steered away from the demo, and I just wanted to like play the finished game when it comes out. So looking forward to that. Zeklimer Joash Gamboa says, Netflix's three largest upcoming projects are live-action Airbender, One Piece, and Three Body Problem. Thoughts? Will they sink or swim? No idea about Airbender. Like, I know that's had a checkered history as far as adaptations go. I don't really know anything about One Piece, I'm afraid. Don't know what the deal is with that at all. And the Three Body Problem, yeah, I mean, it's got potential. It's just, you know, is the execution going to be there? Not sure yet. Jake Mooneyham says, Farscape stream in the future? Absolutely. Some Norwegian guy says, how soon until comic book movies go the way of the Western? And will video game adaptations take the mantle? That is a pretty good question, actually. We could be heading towards, I don't know, could you even call it a golden age of video game adaptations? Possibly. I'd like to see it, that's for sure. I think the time might be right, you know? We've got so many video games over the past several decades, I guess. It's ripe for adaptations that are done well, and maybe we're finally at the point where we're able to do it. You know, The Last of Us, say what you will about it, it was a pretty faithful adaptation of the game, so it proves that it can be done. Comic book movies going the way of the Western. Yeah, man, look at the last two that have come out. Ant-Man 3, complete flop. Shazam 2, that apparently is had a dismal opening weekend. So, I mean, that's two movies on the trot that have flopped. You know, we could be witnessing the beginning of the end for comic book movies, and I am totally down with that. Or at least superhero movies, you know. Diano says, any plans for another comic or graphic novel? Nothing firm yet, but I very much enjoyed making that. You know, I've been in contact with Chuck Dixon. You know, well, this one seems to have been pretty successful. Everyone, you know, seems to have gotten behind it. So, you know, once it releases, we'll see what the reception is. And yeah, I'd be totally down for making more stuff like that. It was good fun. Botep says, hey Drinker, think we will ever see you do a guest spot on Lotus Eater's podcast? Oh yeah. That's Sargon who runs that. So yeah, I mean, I guess I would happily, you know, take a spot on that and guest on it. You know, I can't really get involved in the politics side of things. I'm not really knowledgeable about that. But you know, if they want to talk movies or video games or whatever, yeah, I'd be more than happy to. Watt says, would love to see you do a review of Casablanca. God damn. You know, when it comes to classics, it doesn't get much more classic than that. I mean, with these movies that, like, have been reviewed to death, you know, for example, Citizen Kane or something like that, like, I guess I asked myself, well, what can I add to the discourse around movies like that? Like, they're so well known, they're so beloved, you know, can I really add any new light to it? Probably not without doing a gigantic video essay. So there is that aspect of it, but, you know, it'd be pretty cool to talk about nonetheless. Richard Blum says, the almighty Lolly has some great videos about Last of Us Part 2, and I hear he is quite negative about the HBO series, though he hasn't made a video yet. Might be an interesting person to talk to about it. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess by the time we get to the next open bar, you know, Last of Us season one has kind of come and gone. It may be that the whole thing is dying down a little bit, and we might have to hold fire, I guess, until season two comes out. Duff McClintock says, "Do you think Star Wars should have won Best Picture over Annie Hall? Thoughts on Woody Allen in general?" Yeah, I mean, Woody Allen movies, like, he's produced some absolutely fantastic films over the years, but with Annie Hall winning Best Picture, yeah, I mean, I can see why Star Wars kind of got snubbed. Like, it was a pop culture phenomenon, and I think particularly at the time, it wasn't something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it was very sci-fi oriented. That was a deep thinking kind of movie. Whereas Star Wars is much more, well, space opera. It's not about the sci-fi. And it could be that people at the time just didn't quite know what to make of it. The Academy didn't quite know what to make of it. And maybe they didn't realize what a long-lasting impact it would have. Obviously, we know now, but yeah, I can kind of see why it didn't win Best Picture. Like, I don't begrudge them for that. TNTV Reactions says, "Hail Drinker, could you shout out your mod Lance's channel, The Outcast Creative, and his film The Journey? I streamed with him last week. He's a great guy. I'm Tim from TNTV Reactions, if the plug is okay." Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so The Outcast Creative, I mentioned this on Twitter a couple of weeks back, actually, when I was in Atlanta. Yeah, one of my mods, he's got his own YouTube channel called The Outcast Creative. They do quite a lot of interviews, actually, with people in the industry, like actors, that sort of thing. And he's a really great guy. And if you guys are inclined to give him a follow, we were able to get him over 1,000 subscribers, so he's monetized now. And yeah, it would really help him out. And I think he produces good content, so maybe give him a little try there. The Outcast Creative. Garrett Dudley says, Dead Space remake review. Not perfect, but it encapsulates almost everything I love about horror. Enjoyed your streams and curious about your comprehensive thoughts on the game. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Now that I've completed it, I'd be more than happy to give it a review. And, I never played the first one, like the original, so I don't really know what I'd be comparing it to. I'd just be judging it on its own merits, but I found it to be a very enjoyable game. The action was fine, the environments and everything looked fantastic, the atmosphere was good. It's not massively heavy on plot, like it's not that intrusive, but there's just enough there to keep you intrigued as to what's going on. And there's a lot more to be found with all the video logs and the text logs and everything, like, of what was really going on the Ishimura. So yeah, overall good game, and I enjoyed it. Ollie Mental says, "Hey Drinker, when you're next doing a Why Modern Movies Suck, I'd love you to take a look at People Don't Buy What You Do, They Buy Why You Do It by Simon Sinek here on YouTube." Okay, I'll take a look. Patrick Cochran says, "I enjoy your show and sent some money I made selling tarantulas to you on account of that." Okay, that's a hell of a way to make money, but thanks, man. The Mad Capper says, "If one visited Scotland, where might be a nice place to go?" Well, I can heartily recommend Edinburgh. There's some great pubs, there's some great restaurants. Yeah, get yourself to the Sheep's Head. That is like the oldest pub in the whole of the UK. I think it's something like 600 years old. But the food's great there, the beer's good, and it's in a nice little location. You kind of, like, one of the best ways to get there, right, is if you start off in the centre of Edinburgh, like the big central train station there. You walk right over a hill called Arthur's Seat. It's like a kind of national park land area with a big hill. You get down to the other side and the Sheep Head's waiting for you. So it's one of the most well-deserved pints you can have. So I recommend that. Sam Wallace Art says, "Cheers, Drinker." Thank you very much, my friend. John Smith says, "Why don't you talk about the wokeness in video games like God of War Ragnarok and the Resident Evil remakes that are removing sexist elements?" I don't know what they're removing. Like, I'm not too familiar with that. Are they taking things out? I hope not. With God of War Ragnarok, though, like, I think I said in my review, I didn't find it to be a particularly woke game. Like, I guess the main thing I guess you could point to would be Angrboda, who's she's a frost giant, I think, like Loki, and yeah, she's her character model's black. I mean, I guess that's probably the main thing you could point out, but she's in it for such little, such a short amount of time, and it's not like she's there to preach to you or anything, or like be held up as some awesome character who everyone else falls down and worships. Like, it just didn't bother me, I suppose. Particularly when you see the setting that it's in. It's like this crazy, almost alien alternate realm. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't really, seem out of place that you might have a black character in a location like that. So, yeah, and I think for me, when you consider what the God of War game is about, like Ragnarok, it's a relationship between a father and a son. And like Kratos is a fantastic character, a good man trying to let go of his past and move beyond it and willing to fight and die for his son. Like that's awesome stuff. Like that's something to be praised, I think. That's not woke as far as I'm concerned. Um Alto Burrito gave me a $5 chat, so thank you, my friends. I don't think there was anything on it. It was just an image or something. Yeah, well, thank you anyway, my friend. E. Smith says, hope you'll consider doing a con in Texas. We'd love to get you, Razorfist, the Friday Night Tights crew, and friends together on a live panel. Cheers. Thank you very much. And, well, I may just be going to one in Texas in the summertime, so watch this space. I'll tell you more later. Robo96 says, hi Drinker, glad to see The Last of Us got your seal of approval. In a perfect world, Joel doesn't die in Season 2, but if he does, I hope it's in the last episode to allow more time with him and Ellie, and either on his terms or by his own hand. Deserves a way better send-off than the game. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is one of those examples where, we've said before, we'll praise it for following the first game pretty closely, and then when it comes to the second game, we want it to abandon almost everything about it. So it's a tricky one. Like, I kind of think they're going to stick pretty closely to it. I think Neil Druckmann has even said, like, I don't give a shit that people didn't like it. This is the story I'm telling. So fine, go for it, Neil. Good luck to you. But yeah, in an ideal world, yeah, Joel wouldn't die, or at least he would die with a bit more purpose. Maybe sacrifice himself to save Ellie or something like that. I know they've said that the second game is going to be split across 2 seasons. So it could well be that Joel dies at the end of season 2, that next season. In which case, yeah, you'll get a lot more time between him and Ellie. Dave Breen says, hey Drinker, we just finished Pulp Fiction again. It's a pity they don't make them like they used to. Looking forward to any new movies in the future. I think you're asking me a question there. There's no question mark. But yeah, am I looking forward to any? Probably be nice to see John Wick 4. Apparently it's meant to be halfway decent. Guardians 3, that'll probably be alright. Dune 2, hopefully that'll be good. Maybe Oppenheimer could be good as well. So there's things coming up, I'm not going to pretend it's going to be a packed season of awesome blockbuster movies, but, we give them a try and see how it goes. And yeah, Pulp Fiction, they definitely don't make them like that anymore. Terribly Terrific Turtle says, I don't know if you've heard about this, but do you know anything about the Backrooms series by Kanye Pixels? Best horror that I've ever seen. No, I don't think I have, I'm afraid. Don't know much about it. Jar of Mayo says, who should play Abby in Last of Us? The Rock, Seagal, Sly Stallone, or Van Damme? The Rock could probably play her, but he'd have to bulk up a bit. He's definitely not big enough as it is. So, yeah, if they try and model this poor actress after the game character of Abby, God, she's in for a whipping. Like, the fans are going to hate it. She is going to get so much abuse, and it's not going to be deserved. Like, she's ultimately just going to be an actress doing a job. But I think the fan outrage towards that character is so strong, it's going to get projected onto her. Plus, yeah, finding someone who's just big enough to play that kind of role in the first place is going to be a challenge. Boop Beep Boop says, love your stuff, Drinker. With how often you have been asked if you have seen something, it may be worth creating a list of stuff that you haven't seen and letting people vote every so often on something you should watch and review. Oh, that's a good idea, actually, yeah. I do have a list of things I haven't seen, or that I haven't reviewed yet at the very least, and it now stretches across like 5 pages of A4, and that's with small writing. It's just, there's so much. It's either people asking me on live streams or people who email me about it. Believe it or not, it all gets noted down and it's there. It's just, yeah, if only there was unlimited amounts of time when I could work on all this stuff. But yeah, I do the best that I can. But I like the idea of letting people choose. Sam Wallace Art says, I reported the Scottish flag being banned. Last I checked, Scotland isn't a hate group and there's no reason for it to be knocked down. Yeah, exactly. That's a really weird choice on YouTube's part. No idea what's going on there. Nancy Flores says, Drinker, your Puss in Boots review was beautifully written. It's a joy to watch. Thank you. And yeah, it was a pleasure to make that review. It's just a shame that it seems to be kind of AWOL from YouTube at the moment. Like I think I mentioned earlier, a few days after coming out, it got like a copyright claim against it, and it got banned in most territories. Like it's just blocked, so it's not visible. Obviously, I've appealed it, and I'm waiting for that to come through. But it's been like 10 days now, and nothing's happened on it. It's got 30 days, and then it just gets automatically reverted back to normal. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's really weird. I've never seen something like this happen before. Used Toothless 94 says, with the new arc fast approaching, I'm curious if you've considered watching Demon Slayer. It's a phenomenal show, and with the manga done, I can say the narrative has a great ending, refreshingly free of the message. Yeah, man. It's funny. I was cruising through Netflix, I think, the other night, just looking for something to watch, and I did see it. I just didn't have the energy to get started on a whole new TV series, so yeah, it didn't seem like the right time. But yeah, it is there, and you know, it looks interesting. That's for sure. Masked Jackal says, who do you think is the last bastion of great directors? I've always thought Quentin Tarantino is the one. I still believe Waititi has the tools to become a great director, but he digressed a lot after the Love and Thunder crap fest. Yeah, the problem with Taika Waititi, I think, is he's just he's too much of a one-trick pony. You know, his thing has always been like just weaving humor into everything, you know, and taking a fundamentally serious story and wrapping it in a comedy veneer. And it worked really well with things like Hunt for the Wilder People and Jojo Rabbit. But then when you take it to the extreme and you get too overconfident, then you get things like Love and Thunder. And yeah, it's just garbage. The thing is, I don't know how he can move beyond that, because if all you can do is turn everything into a joke, like where do you go from there? So yeah, I don't know if he has the tools to be a great director. It would just be great to see him temper himself a little bit and curb his instincts. But as for other great directors, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I think Denis Villeneuve is potentially going to be a heavy hitter over the next 10 years or so. You know, his directing style is obviously a bit slow, but visually spectacular. So, you know, there's potential there. I think Christopher Nolan is still a threat. You know, his sometimes his intellect gets the better of him, and you end up with films like Tenet, which is just so like in love with its themes its concepts, that like rational normal people who are just average cinema goers really struggle to follow it. It's so convoluted. So yeah, if he's got someone there to temper his ideas a little bit and turn them into a workable format, and maybe inject a little bit more personality and life into his characters, then, you know, again, he could be a fantastic director again. You know, it's not like it's not like he hasn't been in the past, but yeah, I'd like to see him get back on form. Jarameo says, if you ever go to a Texas State Fair, try deep fried Oreos, butter, Snickers, and ice cream. Also try Baconade, bacon flavored lemonade. It's amazing. Brilliant. I just add bacon to everything. I've had baconaise before, and that's really nice, like bacon flavored mayonnaise. But that's pretty good on a burger. Yeah, I never understood the deep fried butter. I genuinely thought that was a joke. Like, who the fuck would deep fry a stick of butter? But apparently, yes, it really is a thing, and people eat it. Like, damn, I thought we were bad with our deep fried Mars bars here in Scotland. Texas P12 says, ever had chili? No beans like God intended. Yeah, I've had chili plenty of times. I can't remember if it had beans in it or not. It was just like the mince and all the spices and everything in the sauce. But yeah, I mean, I like spicy stuff, so chili's just fine by me. Miroslav Zahirev says, do you think explaining why Ellie is immune in Last of Us, is Last of Us inventing the midichlorians? So yeah, is it like trying to rationalize something too much? No, because I think they're two very different things. With the Force, it was almost like, well, it was like magic, essentially. It was this kind of quasi spiritual energy that just flowed through everything. So I didn't need a scientific explanation for it. So yeah, inventing the midichlorians was just disastrous for that. With this, though, this is an actual medical immunity. And I guess it's a show that's meant to be grounded very much in reality. So yeah, I appreciated the explanation. Wasn't perfect, but like it made sense in context. So yeah, I think that was fine. I was okay with that. Dr. Dragon says, have you seen the following psychological horrors? Martyrs. Oh god. Yeah, I think so. Is that the one where the woman gets flayed alive at the end? Jesus, yeah, that was something else. Yeah, I've seen that one, and that was a gory film. Irreversible? No, I don't think I've seen that. And Angst from 1983. Wait, Irreversible, is that where there's like a rape scene in that? And it's just like, it's done as like one long continuous take and it's really uncomfortable. I think I might have seen that movie, but I haven't seen Angst, I'm afraid. But yeah, Martyrs was pretty brutal stuff. Irreversible, if it's the one I'm thinking of, then yeah, that was a pretty effective bit of like horror. And yeah, I haven't seen Angst, I'm afraid. Roland New says, Hail Drinker and Chat, ever seen Burn Notice? Rewatching now and I'm loving it. Good old early 2000s TV. Really enjoyable show. No, I think Burn Notice passed me by at the time, unfortunately. Fem Exile says, I just logged on and might have missed it, but how is your short film going? Yeah, it's going great. We're doing the fun stuff. Well, the not so fun stuff on the production side, where it's like going through the script which we've written, and comparing it to like how much it's all going to cost. Like getting the stunt guys, getting the pyrotechnics guys, getting the production people to tell us how much all this stuff will actually cost to film, and in some cases having to trim things down or whatever. But the good news is, so far it hasn't been too bad. Yeah, when they when they initially went through the script, right, and they told us how much it would cost to film all of this if it was like fully like AAA production, everyone working at like top pay rates and all the best people involved, it was eye-watering how expensive it was. So, but there is ways to like trim the budget down, or trim down certain scenes, or do things that are very impressive for less money. So that's what they're working on doing now. But so far, it's coming together pretty nicely. And yeah, like I say, the plan is that we're going to film it in the summertime and then aim for a release towards the end of the year. So that is the plan. And then, assuming all goes well, we then look to making something else next year. And we'll see what we can do about putting together a feature film next time. Karen Fisher says, who do you think would win in a fight, Ryan Drake or Dirk Pitt? Well, at this point, Dirk Pitt is about 90 years old, so I say Ryan Drake could probably take him. I mean, Dirk's like the classic adventurer, isn't he? He's been in about 50 novels or something. He's adventured where no man has adventured before. So he takes some beating. But yeah, my loyalty is always going to be with Drake. He's a trained killer. Caden Castigar says, I've seen Gentleman countless times. Did you like it, or were there things you wish they changed? So do you mean The Gentleman? That one I haven't seen. I think that's Guy Ritchie, isn't it? Let's see. Let me just check who's in it. The Gentleman. So, oh yeah. So Colin Farrell, yes, Colin Farrell and Matthew McConaughey. So haven't seen it yet, but it's very much on my list to see because I've heard good things about it. So yeah, I want to watch it and give it a review, and yeah, hopefully it's good. Turd Rocket says, Drinker, you brilliant beast of badassery. If your books aren't on Amazon, how best would a filthy American like me buy them? Cheers. Oh god, they should be on Amazon. They're meant to be available in North America, so yeah. If they're not, I might need to have a word with my publisher and just see what the supply's like. But yeah, failing that, god, you could try Barnes & Noble, I guess. Or maybe eBay at a push, I suppose. But yeah, they should be available over there. Isauro Garcia says, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? Yes, I have, and I gave it a Drinker Recommends because it was really good. CJ Jones says, have you read the Horizon books, and will you be watching the new D&D movie? Already has some decent early reviews. I mean, based on what I've heard about how they treated their male leads, it makes me quite dubious that it's going to get like a good write-up from me, but I might give it a watch just from sheer morbid curiosity. Blaze Donut says, Ellie had two emotions the whole show, angry and childishly silly. Yes, she did. She doesn't really seem to have much in between, and this is what goes back to the point I was making about Bella Ramsey. Like her range as an actress is not big, and like everyone points to episode 8, I think, with the cannibals, like saying like, see, she can act, she can really bring it home when she needs to, and I'm like, yeah, but most of the acting there, like the big moments, are just her screaming as she kills people. Like that doesn't take a huge amount of acting ability, and it doesn't require any nuance. Like any actor can scream and look angry. That doesn't take a huge amount of skill as an actor, but to convey the kind of the nuances of behavior, the game version of Ellie was just so much more expressive and so much more subtle than this one. It says also, as a result, Joel carried the whole show. Yeah, I'd say he did. I mean, Pedro Pascal is undeniably the better actor there, and yeah, he had to do most of the work as a result. They tried to make Ellie strong, but made her unbelievable as a character. Yeah, I mean, I think they were really reluctant to show the vulnerable sides of her. Even at the early stages, it was all about like she was very confident, she was in control of every conversation, she was mocking Joel, she was running rings around him in whenever they talked to each other, and it was just so tiresome. It's like, come on, you can at least have him be on top for a little while before she has to step up and become, a stronger person. You can allow that to happen, but it's like, nope, she has to be amazing at all times. And yeah, I really didn't get the backstory thing where people keep talking to her as if, she's a born leader and, she can do great things. She's got all this amazing potential to lead people. And I genuinely do not understand what they see there that makes her a leader. She seems to be kind of bratty and childish and doesn't really seem to consider other people all that much. So what about her makes her a leader? It's like they just had to insert generic platitudes into the script, Oh, she's a born leader. She could be awesome if she could just learn to temper her behavior a little bit. It's like, nah, I'm not seeing that. Jaro Mayo says, happy birthday to Michael Caine. Favorite movie of his? Oh, damn. That's a good question. Loved him in Zulu. Like, that's a classic. Loved him in The Italian Job. Loved him in... What was the one he was in with Sean Connery? The Man Who Would Be King. And I'll always love his performance in The Muppets Christmas Carol. Just that movie, man. It's so dumb, but it's just got something so special about it. It's like one of the ultimate Christmas movies for me. So yeah, those would be some of my top picks for Michael Caine. Fantastic actor. Silk Crayfish says, how about a Battlestar Galactica Cylon War series? I mean, did they not try and do that with the sort of prequel Caprica or something? And it just kind of fizzled. R.E. Gatto says, hey Drinker, if you're ever in the mood for an animated psych thriller film, check out Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon. Had me questioning my own sanity by the end. Cheers. Nice. All right, thank you. El Morientes says, why no Tropic Thunder? Drinker recommends. Probably because I've already done a happy hour on it, and so I spent a good couple of hours laughing my ass off with Az as we went through the movie and just talked about it. So yeah, I felt like that covered it pretty effectively already. Marduk says, ever watched The Three Musketeers, 1973, and The Four Musketeers, 1974, with Michael York and Oliver Reed? Best version, in my opinion. I may have done when I was younger, like almost like a kid, basically. But I don't remember enough about it to give you a good overview, I'm afraid. And Texas P12 says, I watched the original Stepford Wives with my wife. It's a little ridiculous, but the acting was really good. Yeah, I remember that. I vaguely remember the old one. It just had that creepy element to it, everything just being a little bit too perfect and a little bit too flawless. Yeah, I think there's always something entertaining about that uncanniness. Something's just not quite right here. So, yeah, the Stepford Wives is probably a good example of that, I think. But yeah, that was all of them. So yeah, that was all of the super chats left over from the stream. So yeah, I'll have put these all together into one video by the time you guys see it. So hopefully it was relatively seamless. And the next time you see me will probably be on Open Bar on Thursday. So thank you very much for all these super chats. Thanks for joining me for the Ask the Drinker stream. It was very enjoyable. But that's all I've got for today. So go away now.